There's just something about the Clippers, right, where they're just the easy team to laugh at in the NBA. I mean, they share a town with one of the most successful teams in the history of the sport. They themselves have a long history of not being very successful themselves. A fair play to the Clippers this year. We basically expected nothing from this team, and they've been pretty damn good so far.
Yeah, it already wasn't looking good. You lose Paul George, then Kawhi's out indefinitely, but credit to James Harden, credit to Norman Powell, credit to Ty Lue and the coaching staff. They are surprising everyone so far this season.
Before we start talking about the Clippers, if you haven't already, make sure you leave this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. Now, yes, at this point, the Clippers have lost their last 2 games. They got hammered by the Timberwolves. Minnesota got off to a fast start. Clippers had a bad shooting night. It happens. And then they lost a tough one at home to a good Rockets team. And I mean, considering how much of a roll we've been on in terms of cursing teams, I mean, Denver got a negative video on Monday. Clippers play the Nuggets tonight. This is a positive video on the Clippers. So Denver, congrats on another win. But, you know, all joking aside, we have been very, very harsh on the Clippers for the past like 2 years or so. I'm pretty sure the ratio of like negative Clipper videos to positive Clipper videos is something like 10-1. So we've been harsh on them. But to be fair, the Clippers have been a lot better this year than I think either of us thought they were going to be.
I mean, we already weren't super high on them just in general. Then you got the awful Kawhi news, no timetable coming back. But before then, their offseason, it was like kind of meh at best. Brought back Nick Batum, who somehow like is still productive at his old age. Derrick Jones Jr., I did like this signing. Of course, he was great for the Mavericks in their finals run, but then Kevin Porter Jr. felt desperate as hell. You're bringing in Mo Bamba, who it felt like he was a bust and his career was over. And on top of that, you lose Mason Plumlee, you lose Daniel Tice, you lose Russ, and of course, the big one was losing Paul George for literally nothing. We tore them apart for that. Not that Paul George was this insane player that you're losing. It was the fact you lost him for literally nothing, and you still should have traded him for a draft pick for something, but
low-key, they look like fucking geniuses.
Yeah. Paul George with that contract in Philly, he's looking awful.
Career lows in shooting, lowest scoring since I think his second year in the league, and yeah, he's gonna be making what, $57 million when he's 37 years old. Horrible contract. So Clippers low-key, maybe they knew what they were doing. But like you said, underwhelming offseason. A couple days before the season, we get the news that Kawhi is out indefinitely with right knee inflammation, and being out indefinitely with just right knee inflammation sounds bad, right? Like it sounds like something more is going on there, but we both thought the biggest story of the season was going to be that new arena. I mean, from all we've heard about it, like it's a beautiful facility, but really we thought that was going to be the talking point for the Clippers this year.
I mean, I have seen some stats. The wall is kind of working, like opposing teams' free throws.
It's a great concept too.
It did start off with a home loss to Phoenix, and it was a close game. Game went to overtime. Harden missed a late free throw, but you know, I'll give him a pass for that opening night, and it was still a close game. You follow that up with 2 impressive wins on the road, though. At Denver and at Golden State. The Denver game, Norman Powell pours in 37. How terrific has he been this year?
Yeah, I'll get to him in a sec.
Yeah, Harden gives you 23 and 16 assists. The system right there. And then Zubac, 24 points, 15 boards. All that was enough to weather the storm of Jokic giving you 41.
Yeah, next night, balanced scoring in Golden State. 4 guys give you 18. And again, Zubac with 23 and 18 just came out the gate on fire. Since then, they've been kind of inconsistent, though. They did drop their next 3 games all at home. 2 were to the Suns and the Thunder, which, okay, that's fine. The other one was to the Blazers. That is not an acceptable loss under any circumstance.
No.
And they followed that losing streak up with a 4-game winning streak, which they followed with a 3-game losing streak, which they followed with a 5-game winning streak. You get the point. They're a streaky team this year. But they've had a pretty tough schedule so far. I mean, OKC twice, Houston 3 times, Golden State twice, Minnesota twice, Phoenix twice, Denver 3 times if you count tonight. Out of the East, they've already played Orlando and Boston. And if you look at their remaining strength of schedule, only 4 Western Conference teams have easier schedules the rest of the way. Me personally, though, I would have been impressed with the Clippers if they were 14-11 and their strength of schedule was dead last. I mean, that's how little I thought of this team going into this season.
I mean, we probably would have thought you show us the schedule, you say Kawhi is out the entire time, you say Norman Powell's missed some time, we probably think they got like 6 wins.
I mean, they were on our worst futures video for a reason, and we were shaking in our boots at the thought of OKC swapping first-round picks with them because we were like, Clippers might be in contention for the #1 pick this year.
I mean, to be fair, we had our reasons. Paul George was gone. Kawhi, there was no timetable for his return. There still kind of isn't. There's some rumblings. There was this like leaked video of someone filming him in the rafters.
From the moon.
Yeah, so he might be coming back soon. Ideally, maybe before the end of the calendar year or sometime in January.
And there was that Ty Lue interview with Stephen A. Smith on his show where, from what Ty Lue said, it sounds like Kawhi really wants to come back. Like he's working hard to come back. So, you know, maybe we see him back sooner rather than later.
But you were basically counting on a 35-year-old James Harden to kind of carry the offensive load. And to their credit, they've been one of, if not the biggest surprises in the NBA this year. Like we said, PG and Kawhi not playing, it had to be their defense. And their defense has been incredible. And how about Jeff Van Gundy kind of being like a defensive coordinator role? Like if it was up to us, he'd still be in the booth calling games.
He'd be coordinating a broadcast right now.
Yeah, complaining about officiating, but dude still got it. Like,
yeah, Unk still got it.
Exactly.
Yeah, according to all reports, he's been like the tip of the spear in terms of coordinating their defense. And that was the big focus for them this offseason. Ty Lue talked about it in training camp, and you look at the guys they brought in. I mean, Derek Jones, Chris Dunn, Batum, Terrence Mann, who they already had. All those guys are plus defenders on the wing. Zubac and Mo Bamba, that's a really solid starter backup combo if you're looking for interior defense. Harden and Norman Powell are basically the only weak links for their defense, and even still, they're smart enough players that they'll get a steal or two per game just by being in the right place at the right time. Hell, even like a guy like Kai Jones you can bring in as like a gadget defensive guy to play 7 or 8 minutes a night. And once they get Kawhi back, I mean, that's another solid perimeter defender just to throw right into the rotation. And considering how much the Clippers doubled down on their defense this offseason, might have been a bit of a sign that they didn't fully trust Kawhi to stay healthy.
Big shout out to Chris Dunn. I was worried his career was kind of like getting to the point where it's close to over. He had this weird stint in Portland, played 20 games.
He has been a pest on the court.
Yeah, was in Utah the past couple seasons. Like, I didn't know what to expect, but dude's been incredible. And then Derek Jones Jr., like another guy who revitalized his career by playing defense. So those two on the perimeter, tough to score against.
Then you got them on offense this season. And we'll start with the big man down low, Zubac. I mean, he's averaging 14.8 points, 12.2 rebounds, both career highs, by the way, by a big margin. Still shooting over 60% from the field. He went from like, you know, a really solid starter to like borderline all-star, like a replacement player maybe if someone gets hurt.
Yeah, it's insane. Him and James Harden, the pick and roll has been pretty damn good. He's on a great contract. I still can't believe the Lakers traded him. I forget who even the dude was. It was some like shooter they traded him for years back.
I'll put a picture on screen.
Yeah, Mike Muscala, maybe. It was some bum like that. But yeah, like I said, him and James Harden, the pick and roll, pretty damn good. Harden's still kind of struggling to score a bit, but his facilitating, I think he's like 5th in the NBA in assists at 8.5 a night. Got to get the shooting numbers up. If he could get those up, they could be even better.
You got to get those turnover numbers down.
Yeah, he's shooting below 40% from both 3 and the field. But you know who's shooting the lights out? Norman Powell. We got to say it. Where the fuck was this when we traded Gary Trent for him? He could have been the third piece to Dame and CJ.
He could have been the second piece to Dame if he was playing this well.
I mean, apparently dude shooting almost 50% from 3. That is just insane.
On 8 attempts a night too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been elevated to the starting lineup with Paul George no longer there. He spent the last 2 seasons, you know, coming off the bench, and he was great at that. I mean, last year, 14 points a game, 43% from 3, finished 4th in 6th man of the year voting for the 2nd straight year. This season, I mean, he's upped his scoring by nearly 10 points a game. He's upped his shooting percentage despite the fact he's shooting 6 more attempts a game, and you said it earlier, 48.6% from 3 on 8 attempts a game is otherworldly. He has been killing it for the Clippers this year, and overall, the entire Clippers team, it just seems like the vibes are a lot better. Like, I'd love to get your opinion on this, but I always felt like for the past couple years, there always just seemed to be like an anxiousness around the Clippers, you know? Ever since they dropped that series to the Nuggets in the bubble, it seemed like every year, they always felt tight, they always felt nervous, it always seemed like everyone was waiting for like the shoe to drop with them, and like, oh, someone would get hurt, or they, you know, blow an important game. It always just felt like something was off with that team.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everyone was waiting for it because we knew it was going to happen.
It happened every year, yeah.
They were an incredible hate watch just to like root against and be like, okay, what's going to happen this year for the Clippers? Get your popcorn. There was always something. So yeah, 100%. So I think it's kind of nice just to get a fresh start, like no expectations this year. And how about this Norman Powell quote where he talked about losing PG? He said, I saw it as addition by subtraction, more guys getting opportunities, including myself.
You know, considering how he's played this year, that's a fucking incredible quote.
I mean, he's not wrong.
He knew something before any of us did. And like a week ago, he's talking about how like no one on this year's Clippers team has any ego or anything. Now, I don't think Mason Plumlee and Daniel Tice really have that big of egos. I could be wrong. I don't know them. Going out on a limb and saying they aren't the guys that Norm was referring to. So that leaves Russ and it leaves Paul George. So Norm is taking some not so shuttle shots at PG. And honestly, Norm, talk your shit because you have been outplaying Paul George in every facet this year.
And he's got a great opportunity to potentially win Most Improved Player. Right now, the favorite's Jalen Williams. I mean, Jalen Williams has had a great year on both sides. Dude plays lockdown defense. Dude's a bucket as well. But I want to see a guy like Norman Powell, like a legit role player, win Most Improved Player.
Yeah, Jalen Williams was the third best player for a team that got the 1 seed last year.
Yeah, like I get it. He stepped up with Chet out. He's been incredible. They're going to get the first seed, all that. I wouldn't be mad if he won it, but I'd love to see Norman Powell because the leap he for some reason took this season has just been unreal.
Like we said earlier in the video, rumors are starting to surface that Kawhi could be on his way back soon. Ty Lue said on Tuesday that Kawhi was back at practice for the first time all season and barring any setbacks, could be back on the court within 2 weeks. And if they do get Kawhi back, look, they're not going to win the title or anything crazy like that. Sorry to burst anyone's bubble who was thinking the Clippers could finally get over the hump this year. They're not that good. They're not good enough to beat an OKC, a Boston, or a Cleveland. I still think they're a level below like a Memphis or a Houston or a Dallas, but they keep up this level of defense. You get Kawhi back to help the offense. I think they could give a contender some fits in the first round, and honestly, they've just been a great story this year.
The situation's still not great.
No, it's not.
We gotta be honest, not having the picks, PG leaving for nothing, but just incredible that they've been this good when we were worried, like, are the Thunder gonna get another lottery pick?
Are they gonna get Cooper Flag?
Yeah.
That was like the doomsday scenario. That's the video, guys. What do you think of the Clippers this year? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving it a like, as it really does help us out. And while you're here, why not check out some of our other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.